Now in this lecture, we will see the general organization of the autonomic nervous system as a whole, and also we will look into the basic physiological anatomy of the sympathetic nervous system. And then in the next lecture, I will also cover the physiological anatomy of the parasympathetic nervous system. So now organization of the autonomic nervous system, mainly it is seen at a 5 level. ANS organization, it is at a different 5 levels. That includes the cortical organization, that means at the level of the cerebral cortex, then the hypothalamic organization, then the brainstem organization, then spinal organization, and finally the peripheral organization. So all these levels that we will discuss briefly here. Now starting with the cortical organization, that means the highest level of the organization of an autonomic nervous system. So the main control of the autonomic nervous system, it is through the cortical areas, and mainly the areas that are concerned with the control of autonomic nervous system are the limbic system and the prefrontal cortex. Now this limbic area or the limbic system, basically these are the part of the brain area that are concerned with the emotions, and also they regulate the autonomic functions. Now this limbic system, basically it receives the various sensory stimuli, and it will regulate the autonomic nervous system through the activation of the hypothalamus. So the next level of organization, it is a hypothalamic organization. So the inputs from the, or rather output from the cortical organization or the limbic system and the prefrontal cortex, it will activate the hypothalamus. Now, hypothalamus, it is called as a head ganglion of the autonomic nervous system also. Now coming to the brainstem organization. Now here you will see the two important type of the nuclei, that are the parasympathetic nuclei and the sympathetic nuclei, that are concerned with the control of the autonomic functions. With the parasympathetic nuclei that are contain afferent and efferent fiber. So the afferent that are received are in the, or that are represented by the nucleus of the solitary tract that is present in the medulla. Now this nucleus of the solitary tract, it will receive the fibers that are carrying a general visceral sensation through the vagus, that is the 10th, and glossopharyngeal, that is the 9th cranial nerve. And also it receives the fibers of the taste that are carried by the facial, glossopharyngeal, vagus nerve that end in the upper part of the nucleus of the solitary tract, and that are also called as a gustatory nuclei. So these are the efferents of the parasympathetic nuclei. Then the efferent, that means output from the parasympathetic nuclei, it is via the important other nucleus that will give origin to the preganglionic fiber that constitute the cranial parasympathetic outflow. Now, as far as the parasympathetic system is concerned, it is also called as craniosacral outflow. So the output from the cranial part, that means from the brainstem, it is via the parasympathetic nuclei. So that nuclei from where the efferent will be exit, they include the Edinger-Westphal nucleus that is present in the midbrain, then the salivary nucleus present in the pons, and the dorsal nucleus of the vagus, that is a major nuclei that is present in the medulla. And detail about all these nucleus, how they work, that we will discuss with the when we will discuss about the physiological anatomy of the respective division. Then the sympathetic nuclei that are present in the brainstem. So here the nucleus gigantocellularis and the parvocellularis that are present in the reticular formation. Okay? And on stimulation of these nuclei, that will depress the activity of the vasomotor center. And the stimulation of this nucleus of a tractus solitarius, it will inhibit the sympathetic outflow and stimulate the vagal activities. So this is at the brainstem level. Then coming to the spinal organization at the level of the spinal cord. So here the preganglionic fiber from the spinal cord that are living, that are basically located in the intermediolateral gray column of the spinal cord. Now just you can see in this figure, this is a spinal cord. So it is the dorsal horn or the posterior horn, and there is the ventral or the anterior horn. So from the anterior horn, the effront of the somatic nervous system are emerging. So cell bodies of the somatic fibers are present here, but the cell bodies of the preganglionic fiber of this autonomic nervous system that are present here in the intermediolateral zone of the spinal cord, from where they will live as a preganglionic fiber via the ventral root or anterior root. So there are two levels of the spinal organization. As far as the sympathetic fibers are concerned, it is also called as a thoracolumbar outflow. So the preganglionic fiber of the sympathetic nervous system that will leave the spinal cord from the thoracic and the lumbar segment of the spinal cord. While as far as the parasympathetic fibers are concerned, the preganglionic neurons of that are also called as a craniosacral outflow. That means the preganglionic fiber that will leave the spinal cord through the brainstem, either through the brainstem or from the sacral segment of the spinal cord. So these are the two levels of the spinal organization. Again, that we'll discuss in detail with the respective divisions, sympathetic and the parasympathetic. Now coming to the peripheral organization, now you know that unlike the somatic nervous system where only single neuron is present, here in the autonomic nervous system there are two types of the neurons. So the first neuron that will leave the spinal cord, they will relay at the ganglia. So before reaching to its effector organ, the neurons they will relay at the ganglia, and then the second neurons will begin from the ganglia and it will finally reach to the target organ. Now you know the ganglia are different from the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. So the preganglionic neurons and the postganglionic neurons, the neurons before the ganglia are preganglionic, and then after from this ganglia that are postganglionic, that will finally terminate over the target tissue. Now the ganglia of this sympathetic nervous system, this is a sympathetic nervous system, these are the ganglia, various ganglia that are seen here, that are present near the spinal cord. While the ganglia in the parasympathetic nervous system, here you can see these are the ganglia of a parasympathetic nervous system. So where the ganglia are present basically near the target tissue, not near the spinal cord. So that is a basic difference between the ganglia of sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. Again, detail we will see in the respective divisions. So this chart just shows the levels of the organization of the autonomic nervous system. This is just a brief revision. So first, the limbic system and the prefrontal cortex, that is the highest level of the ANS organism that will control the autonomic nervous system, that is receiving the sensory stimulus. That will activate the hypothalamus, that is a head ganglion of the autonomic nervous system also. And then through the brainstem and the spinal cord, this will activate or stimulate the sympathetic and the parasympathetic system, and depending on the stimulation of that division, there will be an effect over the target tissue. So these are the various level of the organization of the autonomic nervous system. Now these slides just show a basic function of the two broad divisions of the autonomic nervous system. We will discuss the detail about this slide later on in the further lectures when we will discuss the functions of the autonomic nervous system. But just for idea about the basic function of the two major divisions of the autonomic nervous system, I want to tell you that the sympathetic nervous system, it is basically concerned with the flight or a fight reaction. So whenever you require a sympathy, at that time the sympathetic nervous system will be activated. And it is basically activated under a stressful conditions. Whenever there is a mental or physical stress, the sympathetic nervous system will activated, and depending on the situation, either you will fight that situation or you will run away from that situation. While this parasympathetic nervous system, in a single sentence you can tell that it is concerned with the rest and the digestion. Okay? So it is active when you are comfortable, when you are in a resting condition. So at that time the parasympathetic nervous system is a most activated, and it is concerned with the digestion as well. So detail we will see later on. So this is about the general organization of the ANS. Now coming to the organization of a sympathetic nervous system, the basic physiological anatomy of the sympathetic nervous system. So now here the image or this figure shows the how the sympathetic nervous system it is organized from the spinal cord level. Now you know the sympathetic nervous system it is also called as a thoracolumbar outflow. So here the preganglionic fiber of the sympathetic nervous system they will leave the spinal cord from the thoracic and the lumbar segment. And the cell bodies of the sympathetic nervous system they lies in the intermediolateral horn of the spinal cord at the level of thoracic vertebra 1 to the up to the L2 or L3. So there is a thoracolumbar segment. Then these preganglionic fiber neurons of this preganglionic from these cell bodies they will leave the spinal cord and they are myelinated axons. And this myelinated axon that will leave the spinal cord via the ventral root, via the anterior root of the spinal cord and through the white rami communicantis, they will reach at the paravertebral ganglia of the sympathetic trunk. So the preganglionic neurons, they will reach at this ganglia through the ventral root. Now from this paravertebral ganglia of the sympathetic trunk or a sympathetic chain, there are various ways in which the fibers will be further classified. So first is that from this paravertebral ganglia, the fibers of the preganglionic neurons, they may terminate in the ganglia at the level of the entrance by synapsing with the excitatory cells in the ganglia. That means कि जो फाइबर यहाँ पे पहुंचे हैं पैरावर्टेबल गैंग्लिया में, कुछ फाइबर से वहां पे ही टर्मिनेट हो जाएंगे और वहां से पोस्ट गैंग्लियोनिक के साथ साइनेप्स होके the post ganglionic fiber will continue up to its effector organ. Now second is that the fibers may travel up and down in the sympathetic trunk to terminate in the ganglia located at the higher or lower level. That means कि पहले फाइबर उस सेगमेंट से जो सिंपैथेटिक चेन में पहुंचेगी, वहां से फाइबर में गो अप उसी चेन में विद इन दैट सिंपैथेटिक ट्रंक, दैट में गो अप और दैट में गो डाउन लोअर लेवल एंड देन दे विल synapse there and then the postganglionic neuron will continue. Okay. And third type is that the fibers may travel through the chain and exit without synapsing. फाइबर पैरावर्टिबल गैंग्लियन तक पहुंचेंगे लेकिन वहां पे साइनेप्स नहीं होंगे, वहां से ऐसे ही पास हो जाएंगे. दे विल पास ऑन थ्रू दी दैट पर्टिकुलर गैंग्लिया via the splanchnic nerve. Okay. And that fiber that are not synapsing there, they may either reach or relay at the prevertebral ganglion and then from the prevertebral ganglion the postganglionic fiber will arise, or some of the fiber that are passing through the splanchnic nerve they will reach or terminate at the peripheral ganglion or the terminal ganglion. The important example is adrenal medulla or it may be heart, bronchi, like that. So the fibers that are terminating with the prevertebral ganglion and that may be of a different type. It may be in the form of the celiac ganglion or a superior and the inferior mesenteric ganglion. Okay. And कुछ fibers ऐसे होते हैं जो synapse नहीं होते और सीधा they will terminate over the peripheral ganglion. Okay. उसमें से एक स्पेसिफिक प्रकार का फाइबर्स है that are terminating over the adrenal medulla. Okay. कुछ फाइबर्स जो sympathetic preganglionic fibers होते हैं वो passing through the paravertebral ganglion, they are not synapsing there, they are continuous as splanchnic nerve and finally they will terminate at the adrenal medulla. Okay, or adrenal medulla basically it is a collection of the post ganglionic neurons rather. Okay, so यहाँ पे जो फाइबर टर्मिनेट होते हैं वहां पे अलग से कोई पोस्ट गैंग्लियोनिक फाइबर्स नहीं होते हैं. Okay? So that gland itself it will work as the post ganglionic neurons and it will secrete the neurotransmitter and release into the blood circulation. So this in general the organization of the sympathetic, preganglionic and the postganglionic neurons. So same thing you can see here. Let us see, this is the intermediolateral column of the spinal cord where the cell bodies of the sympathetic nervous system are present, and these are the neurons, efferent neurons. So initially the preganglion neurons that are passed through the ventral root and through this white ramus or a white rami communicantis they will reach the sympathetic chain. This is a sympathetic chain. So from where either the fibers may go up and they may terminate here itself and then continue as a spinal nerve as a postganglionic fiber, or it may go up and down and then terminate at lower or higher level and then they will continue as a postganglionic fiber, or some of the fiber they will travel without synapsing here. You can see this red colored fiber that are traversing through this ganglia without terminating there, and they will reach the peripheral ganglion. Okay, or it may be a prevertebral ganglion, and from where the postganglionic neuron will arise and finally end at this target tissue. Okay, so this is the organization of the sympathetic nervous system. This is again same thing. This is the spinal cord. So sympathetic nervous system, that is the thoracolumbar outflow. So from the thoracic and the lumbar segment, the preganglionic fiber will leave the spinal cord and they will pass through this paravertebral ganglion. So this is the sympathetic trunk containing the paravertebral ganglion. Okay, so from where certain fiber will terminate there, and many of the fiber will travel through this and they will reach at this prevertebral ganglion. So these are the three important type of the prevertebral ganglion: ciliac ganglion superior and the inferior mesenteric ganglion, where the preganglionic fiber will terminate and the postganglionic fiber will arise and finally terminate at the target tissue. Okay, and some of the fiber that are traversing through this vertebral paravertebral ganglion and without synapsing, they will continue and they will finally terminate directly at the adrenal medulla. Okay, without synapsing in between. So these are the various fibers. So the important sympathetic ganglia, just a revision, we have already looked into it, that paravertebral ganglia, prevertebral or the collateral ganglia, and the peripheral or the terminal ganglia. So the paravertebral ganglia include the cervical ganglia at the cervical level, so it may be superior, middle, and the inferior. Then the important thoracic ganglia that are 11 to 12 in number, and the lumbar ganglia that are a 3 or a 4 in number. Then the prevertebral ganglia that are present away from the spinal cord, so that includes the three ganglia: ciliac ganglion, inferior and the superior mesenteric ganglion, and finally the peripheral or the terminal ganglia that are present within or close to the structure innervated by them. So that structure may be adrenal medulla, heart, bronchi, or the pancreas. Now just briefly look into the segmental distribution of the sympathetic nervous system. That means there are various segments of the sympathetic nervous system, starting from the thoracic 1 up to the lumbar 2 or lumbar 3 segment. So from every segment, the preganglionic fiber will leave and they will synapse at the ganglia, and then postganglionic fiber will supply to the respective target tissue. So which segment will innervate which tissue? Just there is no any thumb rule about that, but in general, the fibers, preganglionic fibers or the sympathetic nerve fibers from the T1 segment, thoracic 1 segment, that are concerned with the innervation to the head part. Then from the T2, thoracic 2, they are mainly concerned with the innervation to the neck region. Then from the T3 to the T6, the fibers from this segment that are concerned mainly with the regulation or control of the organs within the thorax. Then from a T7 to T11, these fibers that are mainly concerned with the innervation to the abdominal organs. Then from T12 and then lumbar segments L2 and 3, that fibers are mainly concerned with the innervation to the organs of the pelvis and also the legs, that is the lower limb. But again, I am telling there is no thumb rule. It is in general as such, but the distribution overlaps greatly. That means fibers from this segment, it may innervate the other tissues also, and fibers from this segment that can innervate the upper part of the tissue as well. So there is a lot of the overlapping, but in general, this is a segmental distribution. So this is the same thing that is showing. These are the various segments of the sympathetic nervous system, and these are the area of the distribution, and these are the final organs that are innervated by the postganglionic fiber of the sympathetic nervous system. So this shows the spinal segment of the preganglionic neurons. Okay, कौन से segment से preganglionic neurons वहां से arise होंगे, and this area of distribution, कौन से area में they are supplying and which tissue, जो postganglionic fiber से finally tissue पे terminate होंगे, वो किस tissues को they are supplying. Okay? So the T1 and T2 that are mainly concerned with the innervation to the head and neck organs. That includes the dilator pupillae muscle, superior and the inferior molars muscle of the eyelid, blood vessels, and the sweat glands. while this T3 and T4 spinal preganglionic fibers from the T3 and T4 that are concerned with the innervation to the thoracic viscera. So the postganglionic fiber of it, they are innervating the heart, esophagus, trachea, bronchi, and the lungs. Then T5 to T9 that are mainly concerned with the upper limb, where they innervate the blood vessels, sweat glands, and the erector pylorus muscle of the lower limb, upper limb. Then T10 to L2 that are concerned with the innervation to the blood vessels, sweat glands, and the similar muscle of the lower limb. Then T6 to T12 segment that are concerned with the innervation to the upper abdominal viscera, that includes the liver, spleen capsule, adrenal medulla, and also the urinary tract. Then L1 and L2 that are concerned with the innervation of the pelvic viscera, that include the bladder, uterus, and the fallopian tubes. And then T1 to T12 that are also overlapping. This is the type of the overlapping. So that are also supplying the blood vessels, sweat glands, and the erector pylorus muscle. So this table shows in brief about the innervation of the various organs by the sympathetic fibers. So this is all about the physiological anatomy of the sympathetic nervous system. Now in the next lecture, we will look into the physiological anatomy of the parasympathetic nervous system, and then later on we will see the various functional aspects of this both the divisions. Thank you.